Jeremy Rosenthal, always great to be with you and have you on, a legal analyst and attorney, to help break down. So my question to you, Jeremy: why is it partial? Why is it not either all of it or none of it?
The gag order is, in theory, to protect the integrity of the proceedings. So really what the judge was wanting to do is making sure that the witnesses didn't feel intimidated, didn't feel pressured. So now that the trial is over, there's really no witnesses necessarily to protect. But there's still the sentencing to be done. The court still has what's called plenary power, which is just another way of saying that the court still has limited jurisdiction over the case for the purposes of sentencing. As long as that's the case, there's still part of the process to be protected. Court staff, court personnel, prosecutors, things like that. Also, I don't think they want jurors to get any blowback or brushback for their service. But Mr. Trump at this point is free to go after witnesses.
Now, what will happen after we see the sentencing in July? Will everything then be lifted just because the sentencing has been issued?
You would think. About the only thing that would be questionable to me is whether or not Trump could publicly speak about jurors. And let's be clear, right? I mean, somebody who goes to jury duty, somebody who serves in that capacity, they're not necessarily volunteering to be blasted publicly. So whether or not we agree with somebody in that situation or not, that's not the question. The question is, what does the First Amendment allow? And I don't know that Mr. Trump would necessarily go after a juror anyway, but or would publicly talk about a juror anyway. But Mr. Trump at that point, you would think, would have the right to do that publicly. It could be a part of his probation if he is given probation that he's not allowed to talk about it. Even then, there's First Amendment overtones. Anytime you get in the business of limiting what somebody can say really about anything, you're flirting with First Amendment violations, and that's not good. But the judge's primary duty is to assure the integrity of the proceedings. Once the proceedings are done, there's really no reason for the judge to limit Mr. Trump's speech at all.
Okay, that's good to know. And now I want to talk a little bit about what we will see coming up on the debate on Thursday. Of course, now with this partial gag order that could open the door for former President Trump to really discuss maybe some more parts of the case and witnesses like Michael Cohen.
I mean, look, I'm sure Joe Biden's happy to talk about Michael Cohen. And I think if Mr. Trump is talking about Michael Cohen during the debate, probably that's not his preferred area of attack on a political stage. But legally, he's free to do it at this point. What the court said was that you're not allowed to talk about witnesses unless they attack you or unless they comment about you in public. If they do that, then they're fair game. Mr. Trump did have after the rocky start that he got off to with the gag order, found a decent end around. He had some of his surrogates who came to court and they did his talking for him essentially. But Donald Trump's free to go after Michael Cohen in the debate if that's what he chooses to do. I don't give political advice or commentary, but I would think that Mr. Trump would have a lot better avenues of attack than talking about Michael Cohen. But he's, again, free to do it if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, truly. And lastly here for you, when we were talking a little bit more about the sentencing coming up July 11th, that'll be just days before the Republican National Convention as well. What has the thinking changed at all on what you think the actual sentencing will be? What is your take? Is it more probation that you're leaning towards?
I think so. I think you're going to see, and again, it's anybody's guess. Legally speaking, the judge has a lot of options at his disposal. One of them could be that they could take Mr. Trump into custody right then and there. I think that's very far-fetched. I don't think that happens. What I would expect to see is a short jail sentence that is limited to house arrest, and Mr. Trump is allowed to post an appeal bond, which means that Donald Trump would be free in the indefinite future. That way, if Mr. Trump wins the election, Mr. Trump would then have the option of being pardoned by the governor of the state of New York in order to serve as the president. That just basically being a way for him to shift the the responsibility away. Maybe he gets probation. There is an option for the judge just to say, hit you on the head with a frying pan and say, you know what, you're a convicted felon, now you're out of my life. Go. That could happen.
Yeah, that is, it's so interesting because we were talking, Jeremy, this is of course never happened and we've never talked about a former president dealing with this. But last question to you, I wonder if there is that slight chance that the judge says, okay, take him away. Could at that point, because we've never seen something like this, could his own Secret Service step in and say, no, we're not ready for that yet?
I wouldn't think so, but I'll put it to you like this: the law says that that Mr. Trump could get taken into custody on July the 11th. The laws of physics also say that you can get struck by lightning today, Mike, and I don't even know the weather, where you are. So anything can happen, right? I don't know that I would think that anything like that is probably cleared on the front end. I think that the Secret Service is probably briefed on the front end about what happened. You would think that that's the thing to do. So I wouldn't think that there's going to be a lot of surprises. A lot of times when a judge is planning on action like that, they'll coordinate first with all the law enforcement agencies. If a judge has taken one of my clients to custody, which almost never happens, we're usually the last to know, and you can the officers kind of surround the room and they get ready for these things, and they typically do a good job of it.
Well, there we go. All right. Well, of course, we're not in the business of predictions, but I can predict this one safely from now until July 11th. We know that you'll be back on with us, so we appreciate it as always there, Jeremy Rosenthal. Thanks so much for joining us on this big Trump news today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great afternoon.
You as well. Take care.